This video is for practice 6A. We're going to be working with curtain walls today. You're going to learn how to modify curtain wall properties and to add a curtain wall grid. So to start, we are going to open the Modern Hotel Curtain Walls Revit file. You may be asking yourself, what is a curtain wall? So again, I encourage you to look up what is a curtain wall in Google to find the answer. So if we take a look at just the simple Wikipedia even definition, we could see that it says a curtain wall is a covering of a building in which the outer layers are non-structural. I like to define a curtain wall as it's like a curtain hanging in front of the structure, so a curtain of glass. Alright, back to our exercise. We're going to open the south building elevation. So we're going to scroll down in our project browser to building elevations and double click on the south view, which then makes that view active. To make the view easier to understand, it says to select one grid line and one level line. So this is a grid line right here. I'm going to click on that, and then I'm going to hold Control on my keyboard. I'm going to select a level line. And then it says to right-click and select Hide in View Category. So that's going to turn off all the levels and all the grid lines so that we can just see the building a little bit easier. So taking a look at this, the curtain wall grid doesn't match up with any of the other features that are shown on this building, and we're going to adjust that. So to start, we're going to select the 3 parapet walls, and in a previous video we discussed what a parapet was. If you don't recall what a parapet is, again, I encourage you to look up the definition of a parapet. So I'm going to click on the wall, and then I'm going to hit Control on my keyboard, which is going to allow me to select more than one object. See how my cursor has a plus sign next to it? So I'll select all 3 parapets. Okay, now we're going to adjust the base offset. So this is actually a wall that we see right here, and its base offset in the properties box you can see is currently set at -6 feet from the roof. So we're going to set it to -2 feet and hit apply, and that's going to shorten that parapet, so you see it made it shorter. Next we're going to select the 3 curtain walls. So here's one curtain wall. I'm going to hit Control on my keyboard and select the other curtain wall panels. And once I have those selected, I'm going to come over to the top offset for the curtain wall panel. So I'm looking for top offset, and I'm going to change it from -6 to -2 and hit apply. And now it made that so the curtain wall attaches to the bottom of the parapet wall. With the curtain wall still selected, I'm going to go back to the properties box, and I'm going to look at the horizontal grid area. So I got to scroll down until I find horizontal grid. So here it is right here. I'm going to change the offset to 4 feet. And then I'm going to hit apply. So now you can see that the grid is starting to fit better within the building. There's fewer of those like small skinny pieces like we saw before. But let's move on. So now we're going to adjust some of the grid lines to match them up with the edge of the building. So over here we have some CMU, we have some reveals that are inside of this wall, and we're going to match up these curtain grids with these reveals. So to do that, the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to select this grid line. Now to select the grid line, you're going to hover over it with your mouse until it's selected. See how it's blue? And then you're not going to touch your mouse anymore, but you're going to leave your mouse still on the mouse pad, and you're going to hit Tab. Okay, and what Tab does is it cycles through several selections. So it's not really giving me what I want. So I'm going to try to move my mouse a little closer over to this grid line, and then I'm going to hit Tab again. And I'm going to keep cycling. You just keep pressing the Tab button to cycle. You're not touching your mouse, you just keep pressing the Tab button, and it cycles through. So once it finally selects the object you want, so this is the object I want, now without moving my mouse, I have to click my left button on my mouse, and that selects the grid line. Okay, so it's a little tricky. It'll probably take you some practice, but you'll get it. Once you have the grid line selected, you need to unpin it so you can move it. And then we're going to use the Align tool, and we're going to align the grid line so it matches the top of the CMU sill. So I'm going to click on Align. Then I'm going to click on the top of the CMU sill, so where I want the object to go, and then I'm going to click on what I want to align. And it pulls that grid line down to the top of that CMU sill. Now I'm going to add 3 more grid lines, and I'm going to align them with the top of the reveals. So to add a grid line, I'm going to go to the Architecture tab, and I'm going to look at the Build panel. So here's Build. I'm going to select Curtain Grid. I'm going to come over, and actually I'm going to try to see if I can place them perfectly. I'm going to click at the top of the reveals, and just to make sure that they're perfect, I'm going to click on the grid line. I'm going to use the Align tool, click where I want the object to go, and then the object I want to move. Do it again, Align, click on where I want the object to go, and then click on the object I want to move. And I did a pretty good job doing this, so I didn't really need to do that. So now I drew 3 more grid lines, and you can see them in the figure in your book. They look the same. Okay, now I'm going to scroll over, and it says we're going to select 4 curtain grid lines and select each line individually, and we're going to move them down 1 1/4 inch. So all these grid lines I just made, 1, 2, 3, 4, I want to move them down 1 1/4 inch. So I'm going to click on it, click Move, select the endpoint, point my mouse in the downward direction, and then type 1 1/4 inch and hit Enter. I'm going to do it again. This one, click on the grid line. And remember, you may have to use that tab to cycle through to get to the grid line. Sometimes if you zoom out, it works better. Move, click on the endpoint, and move it down 1 1/4 of an inch. Okay, you're going to repeat that 2 more times. One more time. There we go. I'm going to pan over, and I'm going to line the curtain grid on the other side of the building. So you're going to see I have my curtain, the grids are aligned on this left-hand side, but over here they didn't line up. So I have to create some more curtain grids and line these up. So I'm going to select this curtain grid. I'm going to use the Align tool, select where I want the object to go, and then what I want to align. Let's try that again. Doesn't want to do it. Okay. Oh, I forgot to unpin it. That's why I won't do it. Let's try it again. Align, where I want it to go, what I want to move. Okay, make sure you unpin them. Align where I want the object to go, and then the object I want to move. All right, and then I'm going to create more grids here. So, grid there. Just kind of, you got to get your mouse just right. Make sure that the dashed lines are only in the section where you want to place the grid. See, over here is too much. I got to come over here, move my mouse over. Oh, that one's a little off, but I can move it. It's okay. Okay, and then we'll just align this top one that I goofed on. There we go. Okay, make sure that you zoom out and take a screen capture of all your hard work that you did.